Hi, Governor Cuomo. My name is Christy. This week, we marked the 10-year anniversary of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. Do you think Democrats should still put a bill banning assault weapons on the floor to show that Democrats are united on this issue and Republicans are stopping its passage? Thank you.
Yeah. 10 years ago, Sandy Hook. Seems like just yesterday. First, our thoughts and prayers are with the parents, the families of the children of Sandy Hook. 20 children died, 6 school staff people died, and I'm sure this is a hard day for them, so we wish them nothing but peace. For me, it's hard to accept that 10 years later, this nation has done so little on the issue of guns. I was in the federal government. I've been in state government, local government. I understand the process. I understand politics. But it is a disgrace to me that 10 years later, we have actually gone backwards on the issue of guns. 1994, we passed an assault weapons ban. That has since lapsed. And we can't pass a new assault weapons ban. And I don't believe that this is what the American people want. Now, just as a juxtaposition, in New York State, within weeks of Sandy Hook, we passed the strongest gun safety law in the United States of America. Now, people will say that's New York. Yes, but New York has Democrats and has Republicans. We have conservative Republicans. We have upstate New York. So New York isn't that different. But what we did in New York after Sandy Hook is people who normally are silent on public issues, who really don't care about politics and really don't believe in government, they were so outraged that their voices were raised up. And when the reasonable majority of people in this state or in this nation make their voices heard, they win because they are the majority. And don't kid yourself, politicians lead. That's what they write in the textbooks. And there are some who do, but most politicians follow. And they follow the people and they follow the polls and they do what the majority of people want because self-preservation is what is driving the politicians. So when the majority of Americans speak, they win. And Sandy Hook was such an outrage that voice was heard, and we passed that law in the state of New York. But 10 years later, this nation has done nothing. They passed a gun bill a few weeks ago, which was a bipartisan bill to show they could do something. The gun bill they passed was relevant only on the theory that doing something is better than doing nothing. But it doesn't rise to the level of an effective solution for this issue. And the United States is alone on this, right? We have more gun violence than any nation that is comparable to us. You have to look at nations that have significant gun violence because they're fighting drug cartels to find any numbers like the numbers we have in this country. So I think it's a disgrace. I think it's disgusting. And I don't believe it has to be this way. I don't believe that this represents the position of the people of this country. I believe it represents the extremes. I believe you have an extreme minority in this country that doesn't want any laws about guns whatsoever, the slippery slope, the Second Amendment, government is going to come take my guns. I mean, you have that minority that wants nothing. But the reasonable majority, Democrats and Republicans, they would support an assault weapon ban, universal background checks. So if somebody's buying a gun, we check their background, and over 21 to buy a gun. Those are very reasonable measures. And the majority of Americans would support that. But the leadership isn't there. The leadership in Washington isn't there. Again, we passed an assault weapon ban in 1994 with Bill Clinton. And you're telling me we can't pass it now? And your idea is exactly right. Let all the Democrats pass the assault weapon ban to show the American people why it isn't happening. Now, I don't even know that they can get all the Democrats to pass the bill, because there is a political cost to it. You know, politicians don't like to take votes on issues that are controversial. Why? Because they'll alienate the people who are on the other side, right? So let's say in a district, 60% of the people want an assault weapon ban. That means 40% of the people don't. And a politician who is worried more about the politician will say, well, I don't want to offend the 40%, so I'm going to do nothing. Old expression, a legislator who does nothing wrong. What does that mean? It means if you don't do anything, you don't make any enemies. You don't do your job. It's a total lack of responsibility, but it's politically safe. So I don't know that they could get all the Democrats to pass an assault weapons ban. They say they do, but nobody signed a piece of paper that says all the Democrats are supporting an assault weapons ban. But I believe if there was a mobilization of the reasonable majority in this nation, Democrats and Republicans, they would support an assault weapons ban. And I think it's time our leadership on both the Democratic and Republican side shows a little courage. Represent the reasonable majority, not the extremist fringe. And I mean that on both sides of the aisle. Also, it's sad because at one time this federal government could actually do something. Government mattered because it functioned. Shocking concept, isn't it? Remember, this federal government built a highway system, passed Social Security, passed Medicare. It did things. It built things. It built airports and bridges and tunnels. It actually functioned. What happened to that? What happened to the federal government as a functioning entity, achieving, accomplishing results? What happened to that? And why don't the American people demand more from the federal government? Not just playing politics, not Democrat, Republican, just that the government should make a difference and function and perform for the people of this nation. And if they wanted to actually address an issue that they should have addressed a long time ago, start with guns. And again, assault weapon ban, 21 years, and background check on anyone who buys a gun. Should have been done years ago. And if you had told me 10 years after Sandy Hook that we would be where we are, I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed that this federal government could have been this slow to act.